guys. I just wanted to pop in and just give you a strategy to use whenever trying to elaborate or use or add more detail. Okay. So, some of the things you can do when adding more detail is use your five senses. Okay. And you'll notice that I traded out taste for feeling. And that's because some of your small moments don't require or include you eating. So, you might not be tasting anything, and that's fine. But I know for sure all of us will have some sort of feeling going on in our story. So that's why I've added feeling instead of taste. So when adding to your story, each part you'll want to look and reread and see, did I add feeling? So did I show that my character is excited or upset or angry, frustrated? Did I add some sound? Because in your small moment, you should be hearing something. So, like for my story, I hear people chattering, which means there's a lot of people talking. I also will use I hear ocean waves crashing. Okay, because remember my story takes place by the water, and some of yours do too. So you can think about using that one too for here. You'll want to add your sight or what do you see? So I'm going to add I see dolphins jump out of the water. Okay. And then you'll also add what you're touching. So touching or feeling, I guess, depending on what you are touching. So I'm holding on to my tickets, is what I'm going to use. All right. So last week in our small group, some of you saw me write this out for my then piece because remember we had all of our boxes and planned out our story first. So we have a 1 day box, a then box, a next box, and after that box, and a finally box. So we have all of that planned out. And then before we meet for small group this week, I asked that you work on your then box story. Okay. And you were changing that one sentence into 4 sentences, making at least 4 sentences. It can definitely be longer, just depending on how much you add. So I wrote this out with some of you, and those of you that didn't see it, here it is. And we wrote the blue part together, okay? And then all of the orange is what I'm going to add whenever I think of these things to paint the picture for you. Because, guys, as expert writers, you have to remember that your reader was not there at your small moment with you. So you'll have to literally give so much detail that you're painting a picture for them. Okay? So let me show you what I mean. The blue part is what I started with. So then my grandpa and I eagerly waited in a huge line to get on the boat. As we waited, a guy came around to check our tickets. It was so hot, my tickets were a little damp. The longer we waited, the more excited I got. Okay, so with that, now the orange is what I've added based on these things: my feeling, sound, sight, and touch. Now you'll see I underlined eagerly and excited, and that's showing you what I was feeling inside. I also underlined a little damp because that shows you that my hands were a little sweaty because it was hot outside and that my tickets were damp because of it. Now, these little carrot heads is what I'm going to call them. They kind of look like check marks. That's where I'm going to plug in my new information because you see I didn't leave enough room to add a few more words. So here I'm adding a line full of people, and instead of just saying the boat, I'm telling you that it was a small 2-decker boat. And then instead of just saying a guy came around, I'm saying a guy with dark hair and a fishing shirt came over. And then as he came over to check the tickets, I'm adding in that it was hard to hear over and see, I didn't even have room on the edge right here. So I just drew a line down here to tell you over the crashing waves and crowd of people. Okay. And then, just know that it's okay that your paper looks messy like this. It is a rough draft. It is totally okay. Whenever we go to publish at the end of this unit, that's when you'll take this and make it look beautiful into just sentences, no little carrot heads or arrows. And everything will flow smoothly. Okay. Now, here's the deal. I did rewrite it just so that you can see all of my little add in pieces and how it will eventually flow together. So, let me show you what that looks like. So, pretend like I'm in the publishing stage. when I'm in the publishing stage, this is what it would look like instead of being so messy with all the little carrot heads and adding into the side and on the bottom and that kind of thing. So this is how it would read. This is the difference. Okay. Then my grandpa and I eagerly waited in the huge line full of people to get onto the small two-decker boat. As we waited, a guy with dark hair, sunglasses, and a fishing shirt came by to collect our tickets. It was so hard to hear him over the crashing waves and the chatter from all the people. And see, I caught myself too. It says nope, that's correct. I was a little embarrassed as I handed him my tickets because they were a little damp. It was, and this should say it, but that's so important why us expert writers go and reread our work so that we can fix that. So whenever I go back into my writing, I'm going to change that to it. So it was almost our turn to get on the boat. I could barely hold in my excitement. Okay, so pretend like I'm already at the publishing stage. This is what it would look like. Now, I do have one more fix. I would have to add the T there for it. But other than that, that's what it would look like. Now, this week, this is what it's going to look like as you add in stuff. Don't feel like you have to rewrite that right now because we're not in the publishing stage yet. Just to remind you, I wrote it out like this for you to show you what it will look like when we get to publishing. Now, here's the deal. At the end of this week, so since we don't have school Friday, I'm actually going to have it due next Monday so that you get a whole week to work on this. This is your drafting rubric, and this is how I will grade your draft check-in at this point at the end of this week. Well, Monday. When I'm looking at your draft, I will be looking for, did I write it, looking for your lead. So I wrote a beginning in which helped the readers know who my characters were and what the setting was in my story. Remember that one-day box or that one-day paragraph should only tell me where were you and who were you with. Okay, that's all I'm looking for in your lead. And then I'm looking for your transition words, which, guys, we set that up last week in our boxes when we were planning out our story. Okay, so I'm looking for your one day or first, your next, then, finally. After that, that's what I'm looking for on each new page or paragraph of your story. We'll start with one of these transition words. And remember, we just set that up last week. So if you're following the boxes that we set up last week, then you should have no problem having this in your story. Okay, and then with this lesson, and last week we touched a little bit on elaboration. I'm looking for elaboration in each part of your story. Okay, so I work to show what happened to and in my character. Okay, and if you use these things, showing your feeling, sound, sight, and touch in your story, then you'll be able to say that you elaborated. Okay. Organization. I told my story in order by stretching over multiple pages. Guys, this is what I was telling you in your small group is that each of your boxes that we created and planned out, those each get their own page because I want plenty of room to add detail. Okay. And you'll see I marked up my story already so much just to add more detail to elaborate. Okay, now spelling, I want you to check your spelling the best you can, and this is by sounding it out and doing the best you can. Guys, I'm not going to take off points if you spell like tricky words wrong or if I can tell that you sounded it out and they're still spelled wrong. I'm going to be a little lenient here because we have worked some with spelling on word study, but I don't expect you to know how to spell everything. Just common words is what I'm looking for you, like your sight words or word study words. Those things should be spelled correctly. Okay, last thing I'm looking for is that your proper nouns are capitalized. And remember, your proper nouns are the names of the people, places, and things. Okay, so those are the things. Now, all of these things we've talked about and should be in your story. So by Monday, I do want you to have at least half of your story written for me. Okay, so that's going to be your one day box, which should have been done last week, your then box, which we started last week and we'll check this week. And then I'm going to look for your next box as well. Okay, at least those. Now, if you finish writing your whole story over many pages, that is completely fine. Submit it for me and I will look at it. But I know in small group we've only talked about starting then last week, and then next this week we'll add in our next box paragraph. Okay, guys, if you have any questions, please join a live and I'm here for you. Know that we're going to talk about this a little bit more in small group this week, and I will see y'all later. Bye, guys.